Hello everyone, welcome to the Donghua Legendal. Today's episode 228 of Swallowed is about what happens when patience becomes the most powerful weapon in the universe ocean, and what Luo Feng found waiting for him on the other side of 1,000 years of stubborn, unbroken determination. Now, let go inside the story. The white-winged spirit has run out of moves. It spent years constructing an elaborate deception, spinning a story of a tragic past, a shattered master, a desperate need for a worthy successor, all building toward one single moment. Luring Luo Feng close enough to trigger the lethal light blade hidden inside its fake core component. The trap was elegant, the bait was irresistible, and it had worked on at least one previous visitor, Imperial Jewelry Master of the Divine Eye Clan, who died in this exact location without even managing to send an SOS. But Luo Feng had the Shi Wu Wings spirit to warn him. So instead of walking into the trap, he sent his Moshe clan clone to attempt the component recognition from outside the Star Tower, positioned tens of thousands of kilometers from any blade storm, completely cutting off any possibility of a sneak attack. The recognition attempt triggered absolutely nothing, not a single ripple of energy. Luo Feng's voice was calm when he spoke into the silence of the cave. This component is fake. Hand over the real core. The white-winged spirit dropped every pretense in an instant. Its voice turned sharp with contempt, declaring that Luo Feng's talent was insufficient, that he was unworthy, that he could never bring out its supreme power. It was the frustration of something that had held every card for thousands of years, now watching them all get called simultaneously. Luo Feng simply gave the Shi Wu Wing spirit a single order: absorb. The 4 silver wings erupted from the Star Tower's gates. They expanded from invisible specks into sizes that dwarfed entire star systems, stretching across light years of dark space, reaching toward the origin energy that had powered the White Wing's blade storm for uncountable ages. What followed was not a battle. It was a reclaiming. The chaotic golden wings, all 6 pairs, shared the same origin, the same ancient master, the same source of power. The Shi Wu Wings were not stealing. They were simply taking back what had always belonged to the complete set. Billions of blade-like rays of light, drawn like moths to a flame, poured endlessly into the expanding silver wings. The white-winged spirit screamed and fought to hold back its own origin energy, but the laws of fundamental compatibility made that resistance meaningless. As the Shi Wu spirit absorbed deeper, something extraordinary happened. The heavy internal damage that had accumulated over its endless drift through the universe ocean began to dissolve. Broken structures repaired themselves from the inside out. Fragmented memories that had been shattered across countless ages gradually reassembled into coherence. And through those restored memories, the Shi Wu spirit finally understood the full truth it had been reaching for since its consciousness was born. The chaotic golden wings were 6 pairs total. Their original master was an ancient being of almost incomprehensible power. During a catastrophic battle long ago, all 6 pairs were scattered across the universe ocean. The core pair, the white wings, retained the source, the engine that stored and converted the master's vast divine power for the entire set. Supported by that source, the white wings had recovered most of their internal damage and could still unleash overwhelming force. The other 5 pairs, stripped of the source, had drifted through the hazardous universe ocean for ages, decaying and losing power with every passing era. Only today, absorbing origin energy freely for the first time, were the 2 pairs in Luo Feng's possession finally becoming whole again. 30 hours of continuous absorption, the towering illusion of giant wings that had once stretched across light years shrank by half. Then at last, the Shi Wu spirit sent its report: 100% recovery, full power restored. It told Luo Feng that although it could still only use 2 secret techniques, its internal hidden damage had previously limited it to only 10 or 20% of its true power, and now it could unleash everything completely. However, it also admitted with honest resignation that without drawing the source out of the white wings and trapping it inside the star towers, dimensional space, there was no way to force the remaining pair to surrender. The white wings had been too cautious. It had never once exposed the true core, and as long as the source remained embedded within it, the white wings were effectively immovable. The white wing spirit could only rage helplessly as Luo Feng considered his next move. Rather than leaving immediately, Luo Feng chose to stay. The willpower pressure radiating from the white wings, that crushing ancient mental weight that had forced him to one knee at the 50-kilometer mark, was, from a different angle, one of the finest training environments in the entire universe ocean. The Shi Wu Wings retracted back into the Star Tower. The tower shrank back to the size of a grain of dust, and for the next 1,200 years, Luo Feng sat motionless inside the control room, tempering his will against the relentless ancient pressure while studying secret techniques and advancing his understanding of the beast god path through observations from his clone body back on Earth. At the end of those 1,200 years, he asked the Shi Wu spirit directly, was his will strong enough now to become the White Wing's master? The answer was immediate and completely honest. His will had reached the absolute peak among universe masters. But the gap between universe master peak and universe's strongest expert was not a matter of degree. It was a fundamental transformation, a different nature of existence entirely. He still had very far to go. Luo Feng accepted this without complaint. He activated the Golden Kingdom technique to test the restored Shi Wu Wing's performance before departing, and was not prepared for what happened. The Golden Kingdom erupted outward, blanketing 80 light-years in a single pulse of golden light. Its power was immediately and obviously comparable to his previous combined combo of the miniature universe, Golden Kingdom, and flame ocean techniques running simultaneously, a true upgrade of an entirely different magnitude. And as that golden light swept through the surrounding space, it revealed something that had never appeared on any scan before. A second cave passage, hidden within the rock wall, leading somewhere completely unknown. Luo Feng entered immediately. 9 layers of dark red light screens passed. 30 light years of winding tunnels stretched ahead. The rock walls were so superheated that his Mosha clan clone's arm melted like wax the instant it touched the surface. The interior temperature climbed continuously until the air itself could disintegrate divine power the moment it left. Star Tower. Even a Universe Master without Supreme Tier armor would become ash here in seconds. The Star Tower floated forward unmoved, passing through cascading lava streams of red, cyan, and gray in a vast, incomparably ancient flaming cavern where space itself was so compressed that teleportation was completely impossible. The stone pillars scattered through the cavern drew Luo Feng's attention, not because they appeared extraordinary, but because each grain of sand composing them contained its own independent dimensional space, something no record of the human race had ever documented. Then one particular pillar stopped him completely. On its surface was a 4-fingered claw mark roughly the size of a human palm, pressed into stone that had already survived temperatures sufficient to burn the divine power of a Universe Master. Whatever left this mark was not a Universe Master. This was very likely the mark of a universe's strongest expert, and this location was in the lower region of the Tilted Peak sector's main mountain, a core area that no recorded cultivator had ever previously entered. He touched the extraordinary grain of sand at the center of the claw mark. The star tower was immediately drawn inside. Temperature dropped dramatically, comparable to a star's core, a merciful contrast to the inferno outside. Luo Feng deployed his Mosha clan clone and spread the Golden Kingdom across the entire hidden space. Before a smooth rock wall on a distant mountain peak, he found 2 items. The first was a cyan token carved with an ancient beast, a token granting access to an exclusive independent space inside the Universe Boat, one of the 3 dangerous lands of the Universe Ocean. The second was a piece of black and gold silk cloth radiating an extraordinarily calming aura that immediately settled the mind upon contact. This was the Pulling Traces diagram, a map woven from precious Qianxi material, equal in value to Yuanao Master's legendary ancient divine wood. When Luo Feng's divine power seeped into it, he entered a virtual space containing a detailed, fully annotated map of sections of Universe Boat, including precise danger levels and methods to avoid each hazard. The moment he picked up the cyan token, the rock wall ahead began to shimmer. 2 figures materialized slowly from the stone. The first was an extraordinarily beautiful woman surrounded by endless green leaves, Zhenlin, a true god who had roamed the Universe Ocean in an era before the East Emperor Holy Land Universe and Purple Moon Holy Land Universe even came into being. Beside her stood a man in a gray robe, his head crystalline, no ears, no nose, only 3 eyes and a single mouth, Jiefanzi, a lone true god from countless reincarnation eras prior, whose existence predated every faction currently active in the Universe Ocean. Their language was unknown, but their will fluctuations translated meaning directly into Luo Feng's mind. Jiefanzi spoke first. He described himself as a lone supreme master who had roamed the Universe Ocean across multiple reincarnation eras and whose limit was now approaching. He and Zhenlin were preparing to attempt reincarnation, to challenge the ultimate boundary and, if successful, achieve eternity and establish their own sacred land universe. Before setting out on that final gamble, he had left his legacy here. The cyan token opening an isolated space inside Universe Boat where he had stored everything he owned, 32 palace type and domain type, Pinnacle Arcana, 91 ordinary Pinnacle Arcana, and every technique and piece of knowledge he had created throughout his entire existence. He asked only that whoever found this key would pass down his techniques to future generations, giving his life's work meaning beyond his own death. He was careful to add that this was not a demand. He was in no position to ask too much of a great being from numerous reincarnation eras in the future. Zhenlin spoke next, revealing that she had left her own separate inheritance approximately 300 light-years from this location. Jiefanzi immediately followed with a warning. That coordinate sat inside the absolute core region of the Tilted Peak sector, a place so catastrophically dangerous that even Universe's strongest experts had fallen there. He did not recommend searching for it. Then both figures faded quietly into nothing, leaving only silence and the full weight of what had just been offered sitting in Luo Feng's chest. He stood in that silence for a long time. He had entered the Tilted Peak sector searching for the chaotic Golden Wings. He found them, failed to claim the core pair, trained for 1,200 years under crushing mental pressure, and left with fully restored Shi Wu Wings that now rivaled his previous Peak 3 technique combination. That alone would have been enough to call this expedition a success beyond imagination. But now he also held the complete inheritance key of a true god from before the Age of Holy Lands, a being who had lived across multiple reincarnation eras and chose to leave everything behind for a worthy successor. The inheritance waiting inside Universe Boat was enough to drive every expert in the Universe Ocean to madness if they knew it existed. He swept the space one final time with his Golden Kingdom. Nothing else remained. He boarded the Star Tower and began the long journey back, navigating through the flaming cavern, through the 9 dark red light screens, past the furious and helpless shouts of the white-winged spirit, and through 2 months of careful navigation back to the original cave entrance. Then he set course for home. 1 month later, Luo Feng sat in a casual restaurant in a city on Earth sipping tea, listening to the conversations around him. Business, cultivation, the ordinary texture of lives lived without knowing that the man at the corner table had just returned from a place no cultivator had ever entered, carrying the keys to a dead god's entire legacy. His childhood friend Wei Wen walked over, and Luo Feng quietly sealed their conversation from the surrounding ears. Wei Wen, despite every cultivation resource Luo Feng had provided over the years, was still at Domain Lord level 9. He promised cheerfully to break through soon. Luo Feng smiled and said nothing. The bond formed growing up together in the same neighborhood never changed, regardless of what realms now separated them. After Wei Wen left, Luo Feng walked the night streets and organized his priorities with the quiet precision of a man who has learned to plan across centuries. 3 objectives lay ahead. First, temper his will to the level of a universe's strongest expert and return to claim the White Wings. Second, enter Universe Boat and retrieve the inheritance Giafanzi waited a lifetime to pass on. Third, remain alert to the long-game schemes of Sitting Mountain Guest, whose manipulations were impossible to fully predict. After careful consideration, he decided the Universe Boat would serve as both his training ground and his treasure hunt simultaneously, cultivating his will in its most dangerous regions while working toward Giafanzi's legacy. Meanwhile, on the other side of the Universe Ocean, news arrived that sent an electric charge through every human Universe Master alive. The Primal Chaos City leader had just effortlessly defeated a 3-faced, 8-armed expert from Purple Moon Holy Land with a single palm strike containing an entire universe within it when the message reached him. Hu Jack's creator, the human race's supreme champion, the figure publicly recognized as the being closest to becoming the next universe's strongest expert, had obtained a supreme true treasure in the form of a divine axe and had already successfully become its master. The Primal Chaos City leader immediately shared the news across the entire human race. The response was unanimous joy. Luo Feng, receiving the news on the streets of Earth, felt that same surge of pride and anticipation. A supreme true treasure in the hands of Hu Jack's creator represented a qualitative leap in the overall power of the entire human race, the kind of event that happened perhaps once across entire eras. The human race was rising, and the Universe Boat was waiting. That's all from me for this incredible episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update.